Well, that's you know, the plot. That's what, you know, puts the action in motion. But you know, it's about it follows these 8 guys who are looking for me, and I think it examines a lot of issues of loyalty and decency, and against the backdrop of this terrifying circumstance. So while the character is the title character, you know, he appears very late in the film, and I think the question that it raises is it worth sending these 8 guys to get this one guy? And Spielberg doesn't condescend to anybody. He doesn't give them the answer. He at the end of the film, I think people answer it for themselves. Well, I think it's just taking an honest look at this war. I don't think nobody has ever seen this war examined in this way. I know when I saw it, I had this visceral reaction to the combat because it doesn't pull any punches. And I think, you know, when people see it, the feeling that they'll, you know, walk away with, the feeling that I walked away with is a new appreciation for the people who were there and who fought. And also, I was asking myself the question, what would I have done? And I was putting myself there and just thinking about it, because these are ordinary people. World War II, you know, these people, 99% of them are not career soldiers. They're just enlisted men, people who signed up because they believed in the cause, and they're put in these extraordinary circumstances. So I think, you know, speaking for my generation, this notoriously apathetic generation, you know, I couldn't help feel a certain amount of guilt and ask myself, you know, have I lived up to my end of the bargain? Have I earned what was given to me by these people who laid down their lives for me? He says to his wife, "Tell me I've led a decent life. Tell me I've led a decent life." And I think what Spielberg wants is for us to be asking ourselves that question every day, and earning it every day. Earning the right to call ourselves decent human beings. And I think at the same time what he wants is for people, the next time they pass a veterans memorial in their local town, to think twice about what that means. I think I think where we have to start is in learning about what these people did, and in understanding what they did. And in understanding that, you know, while we can't understand it at that level, and you know, I mean, one thing these combat scenes showed me is I can't imagine what it would be like to be there, and the demons that must haunt the people who lived through it. You know, we can start by treating, you know, Memorial Day as more of a, you know, a day to honor those people than to kind of go to the beach and have a barbecue, you know. Well, obviously he receives the news, and it's very hard news to receive. But at that point, he makes a decision that affects the outcome of the film and the outcome of everybody's life. And his decision is to stay and to fight and not to go home. And I can identify with it. I don't know if I'd make the same decision, but I think hearing the news that your 3 brothers have been killed, and feeling the camaraderie that you feel with other soldiers, and other soldiers, real soldiers, veterans I've interviewed, and they talk about what they would do for people in their unit. I could see why he would stay. Oh, well, it's both. I mean, people are people are very different from the experience of war. Veterans are very, very different, and some, you know, there are things that they want to talk about, things that they don't want to talk about, and that's fine. I mean, some things are just none of your business, you know. I mean, and I don't want to pry, you know. I mean, especially in view of, if you look at some of these combat scenes, when you think that a lot of these men have seen that and actually experienced that, you know, I mean, that's not something you maybe want to talk about. So, if I would interview one, I would be very respectful and very, and let them know that it was I would never make light of that. Actually, no. It had a lot to do with Robin Williams, because we were in Boston rehearsing Good Will Hunting, and Stephen came up for a day to film Amistad, and so Robin and Stephen are buddies. So Robin went down to see him and took me along, and introduced me, and Mr. Spielberg, nice to meet you. And he said, "Wait, weren't you in Courage Under Fire?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "You were a lot thinner then." And I said, "Yeah, I lost weight for the part." And he said, "Oh, okay." And 2 weeks later, I get a call that I got the job. I found out in England from him that he had seen the film with his wife, Courage Under Fire, and he said, that's the guy I want to play Private Ryan, except he's too skinny. So it was this totally serendipitous occurrence that Robin brought me down there. So it was incredible, especially on this movie, to see what he did with the camera. And it's like getting a scholarship to the greatest film school in the world, you know, and getting access to him. I mean, he was so accessible and so friendly and wanted to talk. I mean, at the time of this movie, I was an actor with my hat in my hands, and I'm just very grateful for the work. And he treated me like you know, like a colleague and an equal, and was just so kind and giving of his time. And you know, even when I'd interrupt him, you know, he'd be about to set something up, and I'd say, well, why did you do that? And he'd say, oh, well, because, you know, I put the camera here instead of here to give a more sense of perspective for this angle, but we're going to move it around. And he kind of give me this, you know, very technical answer and allow me to sit with that and let that stew while he went off and figured something else out. I mean, it was really, he was really generous with his time. Because also, I mean, as an actor, it's hard to, you know, you want to, I mean, an important part of your job is watching people, you know, and if they change their behavior, if you're in the room, that's gonna skew it's gonna skew their behavior. So it's gonna give you a false sense of how people are really behaving. So it makes it a bit more of a challenge to be a fly on the wall, which used to be very easy.